जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन। यमुनातीरावनचारी। यमुनातीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन। यमुनातीरावनचारी। यमुनातीरावनचारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 16th chapter, entitled Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the sages. Text 12. तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो। तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो। युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः। युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः। भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे। भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे। यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः। यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः। तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो। युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः। भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे। यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः। तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः भूयो ममान्तिकमितमनुग्रहो मे यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः तन्मे स्वभर्तुरवसायमलक्षमाणो युष्मद्व्यतिक्रमगतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः भूयो ममान्तिकमितां तदनुग्रहो मे यत्कल्पतामचिरतो भृतयोर्विवासः. What word meanings? Tat, therefore, me, my, swabhartuhu, of their master, avasayam, the intention, alakshamano, not knowing, yushmat, against you, vyatikrama, offense, gatim, result, pratipadya, reaping, sadyah, immediately, bhuyah, again, mama antikam, near me, hitam, obtain, tat, that, anugrahah, a favor, may, to me, yat, which, kalpatam, let it be arranged, achiratah, not long, britayoh, of these two servants, vivasah, exile. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. Purport. From this statement, we can understand how anxious the Lord is to get his servitor back into Vaikuntha. This incident therefore proves that those who have once entered a Vaikuntha planet can never fall down. The case of Jaya and Vijaya is not a fall down, it is just an accident. The Lord is always anxious to get such devotees back again to the Vaikuntha planets as soon as possible. It is to be assumed that there is no possibility of a misunderstanding between the Lord and the devotees, but when there are discrepancies or disruptions between one devotee and another, one has to suffer the consequences, although that suffering is temporary. The Lord is so kind to his devotees that he took all the responsibility for the doorman's offense and requested the sages to give them facilities to return to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamsya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing our Bhagavatam class after a long break. So the context everyone knows that Jaya and Vijaya were cursed by the sages due to their offense of not allowing the four Kumaras. The sages means the four Kumaras. So they blocked them from entering the Vaikuntha, and as a result the four Kumaras cursed them, and now Lord Narayana himself from his abode has come to the spot where this offense took place, that is the entrance of Vaikuntha. And there this discussion is going on. So although the doormen offered their repentances at the feet of the four Brahmana Kumaras, so now the Lord himself has come to take charge of the situation, and he is pacifying these four Kumaras, those who are angry. So we went through the previous verses, and today is the last verse among the pacifications offered by the Lord to the four Kumaras. So the Lord accepted the fact that there was a discrepancy done by his servants, and even in today's verse also. So we see that the same point is again repeated. Tanme svabharturavasayam alakshamano. So, not knowing the mind of their master, these servants of mine have transgressed against you. So obviously the Lord always desires to give audience to his devotees, those who are eager to meet him. So so therefore the act of these doorkeepers Jaya and Vijaya was not in accordance with the desire of the Lord. So now the Lord is offering or requesting them to bestow a small favor on these doormen, that their punishment may not last so long. So we know that they were cursed to fall down into the material world because of showing a, or because of having a disposition fit for the material world. So we know material world is the place of envy. So where one we see enviousness is prevailing all around in the society. So one Griha Medi is, Prabhupada writes in the second canto, that one householder, one Griha Medi. So of course there is difference between Grihastha and Griha Medi. Here Prabhupada is talking about Griha Medis. So how one Griha Medi is envious of another Griha Medi, and they always keep on fighting. So this kind of envy, so the Kumaras charged the doorman of possessing. So therefore they curse them to go down to the middle world. So now here we are seeing that the point that the Lord is asking them to the Lord wants to ensure that this punishment doesn't last so long. So here Prabhupada emphasizes the point in this purport that the anxiousness of the Lord to rescue his devotees. So here we see that in the beginning of the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that those who have once entered a Vaikuntha planet can never fall down. So this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita also in at least two places. So Bhagavad Gita tells, Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dama paramam. So Krishna says in the 15th chapter describing his abode. So here also in the previous chapter the abode of Lord was described. So in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's abode is described, Paramam Mama. So of course every place belongs to Krishna. Krishna is the Maheshwaram, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. So he is the owner of all the places. Although materialistic or foolish people under the influence of material energy, so they think that they are the owners of certain small tracts of land which they will not have any claim unto after maybe a few decades. So this is how illusory energy goes on. So anyways, the actual owner of every loka is the Supreme Lord. But in the 15th chapter, he is describing about his supreme abode, Tad Dhamma Paramam Mama. So there he is mentioning that how his abode is not lighted by sun, the moon, or electricity. So we understand that the effulgence coming out of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahma Jyoti, so that lightens up the Vaikuntha abode, the spiritual world, in which there are Vaikuntha planets. So different planets are there, just like we have many planets in the material world. So material world is just a very small fragment of a small portion of 1/4 portion of Ekam Shena Sthito Jagat. So small portion of the Lord's creation. So na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante. So today's point comes there, that one who enters there, one who goes there, so he never has to come back again to this material world. So like that. And in another place, in the 8th chapter also, Krishna tells, so how does that verse begin? Eighth chapter, 15th verse. So Krishna says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gataha. So after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So like that, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So this material world is referred to as dukkhalayam, so which is complete contrary to the nature of the Vaikuntha planets. So this material world is full of miseries, birth, death, old age, disease. So one who attains the highest perfection, who attains the Supreme Lord, he obviously goes into the spiritual world. And the highest spiritual planet is Krishna Loka, Goloka, Vrindavana. So once one enters there, so one naturally doesn't wish to return. Prabhupada writes there. So like that. So this material, this planet is inexplicable. It is beyond our material vision. This planet means Vaikuntha planets. So they are beyond our material vision. But once one goes there, so one doesn't have to return. That is the assurance given by the Bhagavad Gita. We see that there is some controversy recently brought up that so whether we came from Vaikuntha or not. So naturally everyone is a servant of the Supreme Lord, and our constitutional position is to serve him eternally. But due to forgetfulness, due to conditioning, so one comes to the material world to enjoy. Initially it may be curiosity to understand what, or to see what is going on in this material world, and gradually, so by the influence of the material coverings, one goes on getting more and more conditioned, and gradually so falls down into the lowest states of existence. But however, we understand that this material world is temporary. Parastasmatu bhavo anyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha. So this material world is temporary. In the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has explained that how it comes into being, it stays for some time, and how there is creation every day of Brahma. So creation happens, and again there is wind up, destruction, and again the living entities go back into a dormant state, and again they continue the next day of Lord Brahma. Again the creation happens, and the living entities again, so they come into, according to their previous karmas, pending reactions of the fruitive activities. So they acquire suitable bodies, and they continue their existence from that point on, and like that this material world goes on. So we see that this kind of conditioning it seems perpetual. Of course, living entities are called Nitya Baddha in our philosophy, in our Shastras. So Nitya Baddha means the conditioning is very long. So of course one may think that Nitya means eternal. When we compare with our understanding of our time frame, so we generally, our reference of time frame would be few years, few days, few months, so like that. But when we see that we are a spark in the eternal time, so our existence, if we draw an entire line representing our existence, so that line is infinite. Even geometrical line is infinite. So our one lifetime is just a point on that line. We can compare it like that. So in that sense, if we see that our existence is, our context is very limited, and as compared to that, the duration of our conditioning, so that is very long. So in that context, that we are conditioned from a long time, anadi means from a very long time, from a time which we can't trace. And so like that we can understand that the conditioning, of course we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and we have our constitutional relationship with him. So Prabhupada has explained in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, that how so one can be related to the Supreme Lord in different mellows, in 5 different rasas. So Prabhupada is explaining that. So like that we have our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is our constitutional eternal position, and having forgotten that, so we have come into this state of existence. So the point is that we were not, so it is not that we do not have any experience of spirit. Basically we are spiritual entities. So that is our actual existence, and presently due to this anadi covering, so we have forgotten that existence. That is how, so this has to be understood, and eventually, so by practice of devotional service in the association of devotees and receiving guidance from a bona fide guru, so one will one can cross over this material existence, this ocean of material existence, and then again go back to his constitutional position. So that is one point. Another point we see here is that the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So how anxious the Lord is to get his servitor back into Vaikuntha. So Krishna says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priya ye vajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. So Krishna says, I am equal to everyone. I am equally disposed to everyone. It is not that I am specially inclined to someone. So basically, Lord expresses his neutrality. But however, there is a special favor. So he is specially inclined to towards his devotees. So Prabhupada gives in purport to this verse of Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada, he gives the example that so a person may be he may be a big person and he may be neutral, but he may have special disposition towards his children. So similarly, Lord Krishna, so he regards his devotees. So he is the supreme father of everyone. But naturally, some people would like to exercise their independence and so would not like to surrender unto him and not take guidance from him. So in that way, he is neutral, and that is also his mercy that he is allowing them to exercise their independence in that way. He could have forced it, but he allows them to exercise their independence and learn it through the hard way because they are desirous to learn it in such a way. So like that. So that is again Krishna's nature, and even in another place in Bhagavad Gita he has said, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. So however, so in whatever way the devotees surrender unto him, so accordingly he reciprocates. So if somebody is not so desirous of surrendering to Supreme Lord, then that is Lord's nature of reciprocating with him. So we can't charge the Supreme Lord of not being merciful or being partial in that sense. But at the same time, there is this special mercy is there for his devotees because they have surrendered themselves fully to the Supreme Lord. So in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, so Lord Krishna is explaining that how it is so difficult to overcome this material existence, this material energy. So Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarandite. So this material energy, it is my energy. Daivi Esha Gunamayi. And it is difficult to overcome, it is Duratyaya. But the only way to overcome is by surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So because this Maya is his energy, so he can order that energy to act according to his direction. Obviously Maya is working under his direction in its default mode. So that is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatamidam. So in the 9th chapter it is Maya Dakshana Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So this material energy, it is working under my guidance, my supervision, my Adhyakshata, so my superintendence, my direction. So similarly, Lord can order his material energy to release that devotee. So it is very difficult to overcome, and one who is bound, he cannot himself liberate himself. So somebody who is drowning, so he needs somebody else, somebody who is in a safe place, who is well situated to rescue him. He cannot rescue himself out of his own strength. So the person who is liberating has to be liberated. So similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can liberate, or his bona fide representative. So he is also we understand he's not in the same Nitya Baddha stage as the conditioned living entity. So the bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord, he is also empowered to liberate the conditioned living entity, like that. So we see that this is the special mercy of the Supreme Lord towards any conditioned soul, and towards his own devotee also he takes care. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, what we were discussing, Samoham, how Lord is equally disposed. So he goes further to state that, Krishna states further that api chetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhurevasya mantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. So even if one commits most abominable action, so if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So here we see that these residents of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya, so they conducted a smoke. So it is not that they gave up devotional service to the Supreme Lord or something like that. No. So they were acting as part of their duty, and they, out of accident, they acted like this, that they stopped these 4 Kumaras from entering the Vaikuntha. It was part of their duty to not allow any unauthorized person. Of course, we don't say that 4 Kumaras were unauthorized, but anyways, as part of their duty, they just stopped them. Although it is discussed, we have discussed this in great detail in the previous verses, that how they shouldn't have done that also. But anyways, it's an accident, and it could have, we can understand that, that is how Prabhupada is explaining here, that this was an accident and it was not a fall down as such. So like that, so they are to be understood as devotees only, not that they are not devotees. And we know their future, means after this we know that they take birth as the greatest demons known in the history, and ultimately they are again rescued by the Supreme Lord in all of their births, and how they come back again to their constitutional position and again render service to the Lord. So like that. So this point Krishna is explaining here, that although somebody may be engaged in devotional service, and he may, out of accident, out of his previous nature, out of his conditional nature, so when one starts practicing devotional service in the conditioned world, so one has his conditional duties also and one's constitutional duties also when one is practicing devotional service. So constitutional duty means Krishna consciousness, practice of devotional service, and conditional duties means the way he was acting according to the modes of nature, and he has to act on his bodily platform also. And sometimes, most of the times, Prabhupada explains that these activities will be parallel in such a way that one doesn't disrupt the other. So we see that we are practicing devotional service, and we have our conditioned nature, and somehow the entire process given to us is to dovetail our tendencies and in such a way that we regulate our materialistic, our tendencies, and eventually so that it doesn't disrupt our devotional service, and at the same time we don't artificially take up some just like to give an example, that we know that example, that Raghunath Das Goswami or even Paramahamsas, so they used to the way they live is so they don't act in a way those practicing regulated devotional service do. So we can't imitate their activities. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji or Vamsi Das Babaji or even or Raghunath Das Goswami, so we know that he used to drink very little buttermilk for his lunch, and he would still say that he's engaging in great sense gratification. So we can't imitate such activities. So that way, that is how the point is, that both are balanced in a way such that one doesn't disrupt the other. So our conditioned tendencies are also taken care of, our basic necessities, and we follow the regulative principles and practice Krishna consciousness, and gradually we try to revive our our transcendental nature, which we were discussing in the beginning. So try to revive our constitutional position through regulated practice under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master and according as mentioned in the Shastras. So the devotee is generally careful, a good devotee is generally careful in taking care of these things, but sometimes there may be accidents, just like here there was an accident in the action of these Vaikuntha doorkeepers. So like that there may be accidents, but the Lord is assuring here. So that sadhu reva samantavya, he should be considered sadhu only, because he is samyak vyavasito hisa, because he is properly situated in his determination to practice Krishna consciousness. He is fixed on his path. So therefore he should not be derided as such. So that is the point that Prabhupada is making as in the purport, and that is how we have to understand this verse in the Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna is further assuring that Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So again we see that this is Krishna's assurance, that how he is telling, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So like that again and again we see in the Bhagavad Gita that so the Lord is assuring that he is going to offer his protection all the times. And here also we see in the case of these doorkeepers that the Lord is anxious, Prabhupada writes, he is anxious to get his servitors back into Vaikuntha. So like that in the 9th chapter 22nd verse also Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya viyuktanam yogakshema vahamyaham. So those who are properly ananyas chintayanto, so those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, so I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So like that, yoga kshemam word is used here. So kshemam means protection. So Krishna is assuring his protection. And in the sarva dharman parityaja verse also Krishna says ma shucha, so aham tvam sarva papebhyo, so I will deliver you from all the sinful reactions. So do not fear, just surrender unto me. So like that we can understand from this point that by surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so there is not going to be a loss, and one will be rescued from the greatest danger. So the spiritual path, so there is no loss here, even if there are discrepancies like this, which like the present episode which we are discussing. So still there will be protection given by the Supreme Lord. Another point here is on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can understand it as his mercy that he is anxious to rescue his servitors. So there are certain philosophies, certain faiths that charge the Lord to be not merciful. So like we were discussing in that Sammoham Sarva Bhuteshu verse also, that Lord is partial or all mercy, Lord is impartial or all merciful. But certain philosophies, so although they call Lord as all merciful, but they are not able to explain that how Lord is all merciful. So for example, these Abrahamic faiths paths, so they say that we are existing in this material world, and this is one lifetime, and after this lifetime, either according to one's activities, either one will go to heaven perpetually, eternally, or either one will go to hellish planets for eternal damnation, and then there is no coming back. That's it. That is where it closes. So therefore that question comes that how does the Lord not give any chance for the sinners to again come back, although they although they promote that concept of repent sinners is there, that every week they will commit sinful activities and then they will go to the confession room and pay some fees, maybe they are paying some fees, and then again repent for that, and again next week they will go on continuing with the same sins, and like that they go on, and at the end of the lifetime they think that most probably they will go back to the heaven. According to them, kingdom of God means heaven. They don't have much advanced philosophy as much as we do. So still they can't explain this point that sinners, so there is no rescue for them, so they have to perpetually suffer or rot in hell. So therefore we see that many atheists have come up by in protest against such philosophies. So there are many atheists who are active and who write against these things, but unfortunately these atheists, they somehow didn't care to understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. So although in the 16th chapter we see something similar mentioned about the fate of the asuras, so Krishna says, Tanaham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradaman kshipam yajasram ashubhan asurishveva yonishu. Then asurim yonim apanna muda janmani mam aprapyaiva kauntaya tato yanti adamam gatim. So here also we see that Krishna is making similar point, that those who are envious and mischievous and lowest among men, so I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life, and then after attaining repeated birth among the demoniac species of life, so such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So one may think that here also similar thing is mentioned, but Prabhupada clarifies this in the purport, that how so these greatest again the same example of these personalities is only given, Jaya and Vijaya. Of course their demonic birth is referred to here. So because Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa and Ravana, so they acted in demonic way. So in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, all the demoniac qualities are discussed in detail. So how they are greedy, how they are deceitful, pride, arrogant, angry, harsh, so covered with ignorance. So all these qualities are described. What should be done, what should not be done, they don't know. So they don't act according to the injunctions of the scriptures. So pravritim cha nivritim cha janana vidurasura. And they think that this material world is asatyam. So it is unreal, there is no foundation, and it is just produced of kama haitukam, produced of sex desire. So like that they have this kind of understanding, so they don't give any credence to we understand this point, that they don't give any credence to the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore their destiny is described in these verses, that they will also end up in Asurim yonim apanna muda janmani, and they will keep on suffering again and again. So but Prabhupada explains in the purport that he is merciful. So when he kills these demons like Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, or even if he makes them to perpetually suffer in hellish planets, so when we understand that perpetual suffering in this context, it is for a duration, specific duration of time, and after that suffering is over, he will again get an opportunity to again come back and practice in the middle planets, and again if by fortune, if he is fortunate enough to come in contact with a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, so then he may again revive his Krishna consciousness, and like that he will also have a chance to be liberated. And when Lord kills the demons like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, so he exhibits his quality of Hatari Gati Dayaka. So when Hatari Gati Dayaka, we know that when Lord kills someone, so he gives them a better destination, so he delivers them also. So like that, so whichever demons he killed, so we understand that they were also liberated by the Supreme Lord. So about Putana also, that famous verse is there, Bhagavatam, aho bakiyam stana kalakutam. So he gave her also the destination of his mother, because she treated him as her mother, although she had the evil intention of killing the Supreme Lord. But that is the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. That example of the electrical energy is given. So just like electricity is there in the powerhouse, and the expert electrical engineer, he can utilize the same electricity to provide a heating effect also, and the same electricity to provide the cooling effect also. So similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is by nature all good, all merciful, and even his so-called curse, or even his so-called killing, so that also is a boon, or it also delivers the demon who is reciprocating with him. So that is another example of his kindness. So the point is that we are discussing about his kindness towards the demons, and here we understand that they were in the original place, they were his devotees. So the Lord is very anxious to protect his devotees. So if he can give so much protection to the demons who are antagonistic towards him, against him, so then why wouldn't he protect his devotees who have surrendered everything unto him? So the qualities of devotees are described in different places in Bhagavad Gita. In the 12th chapter also it is described throughout many verses. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. So while discussing about this Adveshta quality, so Prabhupada is explaining that a pure devotee is never disturbed Adveshta sarva bhutanam nirmamo nirahankara sama dukha sukha kshami. So while explaining these qualities, so Prabhupada is explaining that so how a pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, and he is no one's enemy. And he thinks that if somebody is acting as his enemy, so he understands that it is due to his own past misdeeds that this kind of arrangement has happened, and he is made to suffer at the hands of that devotee. In his heart, the devotee, he is always thankful towards the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Tattenukampa susamikshamaano gunjanayevatma kritam vipakam. So he considers that whatever suffering he is undergoing, so that is a great mercy of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise he would have been subject to a lot of heavy suffering, more misery, more suffering. But due to Lord's mercy, due to Lord's causeless mercy, so that suffering has been reduced. So the point is that to such a devotee who has surrendered everything unto the Supreme Lord and who is so much dependent on him, so why wouldn't the Lord protect him? So therefore we see that he is anxious to give protection to his devotee, and he is anxious to get his servitors back to Vaikuntha, as we see in this episode. And one more point which comes is that it is to be assumed that there is no possibility of a misunderstanding between the Lord and the devotees. But there are discrepancies or disruptions between one devotee and another. If there are, then and in such cases one has to suffer the consequences. So there may be many angles to it. So we see that there may be transcendental competitions also, that is of course spiritual, and there may be some such incidents as the present one. So therefore some consequences have to be suffered. So we see that for a small time being, so these devotees who acted in such a way, so they were made to come to the material world and suffer in demoniac species of life, and then ultimately they were again killed by the Supreme Lord and again taken back. So like that we have to see. So like that, these are some thoughts on this verse. We may discuss more if some points are missed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.